E-Content Development Course, Business Research Methods, Chapter 1, Introduction to Business Research Topic, Research Proposal Writing Synopsis. Objectives. To know proposal writing. To understand its contents. To describe its objectives. To discuss hypothesis and testing. To explore analysis of data and budget. Preparation of research proposal is discussed in today's presentation. For better understanding, the episode is divided into 5 parts, namely 1. Introduction to proposal writing. 2. Contents of proposal writing. 3. Introduction, the problem, objectives. 4. Hypothesis testing, study design, the setting. 5. Analysis of data, budget. Introduction. Writing research proposal has become an obligation to higher education institutions to get to know current research activities. The academic teachers has to actively take part in proposal writing with the current problems issues to examine its suitability and validity. In the academic field, the research proposal will go through a number of committees for approval, and it may take days and months together for its acceptance as well. Unless the committee would accept the proposal, the researcher may not be possible to start research. Hence, it is important to a beginner to know what constitutes a research proposal. The proposal consists of but which has been adopted. The proposal consists of qualitative and quantitative research studies. But the methodologies which has been adopted may differ in undertaking research endeavor. It is said that certain requirements may differ from discipline to discipline, but what is outlined will mostly satisfy the requirements. A research proposal is a plan, scheme, structure, strategy designed to obtain answer to these questions by proposing possible alternatives. A research proposal outlines the tasks that 1. 2. Has planned to undertake to fulfill research objectives, to test hypotheses, and to obtain answers to research questions. In the proposal, the reasons must be stated for undertaking the study. The research proposal tells your reader what it consists of. A. What you are proposing to do. B. How you plan to proceed. C. Why the study had been chosen. 2. Contents of research proposal. A research proposal should contain A. Introduction includes review of literature. B. Theoretical as well as conceptual framework. C. Objectives. D. Hypothesis, if applicable. E. Study design. F. The setting. G. Measurement procedure. H. Ethical issues involved. I. Sampling. J. Analysis of data. K. Structure of the report. L. Budget. M. About self. N. Appendix. O. Work schedule. The research proposal must be planned in such a way that it communicates the purpose and plan of the research in 1. The proposal needs to have its own title relevant to the study. 2. Research proposal that is written should be in a way to guide you in different stages of decision-making of the research work. 3. To bring out valid, workable, feasible, appropriate research work, obtaining answers to research questions. Contents of research proposal. A. Introduction. A proposal begins with an introduction relevant to the study. While writing this part, review of literature plays a central role as it serves two main functions. 1. It acquaints you with available literature in the area of your study, thereby broadening your knowledge base. 3. 2. It enables to know methods and procedures that has been used in similar to other studies. The introduction should represent the broad perspective of the main subject area, consists of historical view pertinent to the study, ideological issues, major theories if any, main issues problems under the study, important theoretical and practical issues relevant to the central problem. These are some of the important core aspects to be covered while writing introduction for the research study. Example, if you are writing a proposal on a study to investigate on excessive mobile phone usage among youth, then the title would be A Study on the Impact of Excessive Mobile Phone Usage on Health Among Youth. Special reference to Government First Grade College, Mysore would be the title. The investigator has to mention the place of conducting study, whether it is Mysore City, Mysore District. The introduction includes A. A brief description of the theme mobile phone. B. Smartphone penetration in India. C. Mobile phone overuse. D. Impact of mobile phone usage on health. E. How does phone usage affect sleep? F. Impact of mobile phone usage on psychological aspects. G. Sleep and its importance. H. Quality of sleep. I. Life cycle of sleep. J. Impact of mobile phones on sleep. X. B. If you want to study the physical and mental health conditions of elderly women in orphanages, then the title would be A Study on the Physical and Mental Health of Elderly Women, special reference to orphanages in Bangalore city. The introduction part covers A. Brief description on elderly women. B. Status of women in Karnataka. C. Physical health condition of women. D. Mental health condition of women. E. The rise of orphanages. F. The need for orphanage care. The above description is a gist as to how introduction to be presented while writing project proposal. B. The problem, after having broad understanding of the study, now focus on the issues related to central theme and identify the gap in the existing body of knowledge. Identify the main research question that to be answered should be raised and rationale for each should be provided. 4. Knowledge gained from other studies and the literature about the issues you are proposing to investigate should be an integral part of this section. The section serves important aspects. 1. Identify the issues that are basis of the study. 2. Specify the various aspects on the issues. 3. Explore the main gaps in the existing body of knowledge. 4. Point out some of the main research questions that you are going to answer in the study. 5. Provide a rationale for your study and sketch how your study will fill the identified gaps. C. Objectives of the study. This particular section covers the statement of both your study's main and sub-objectives. The main objectives envisage the central thrust, whereas the sub-objectives identify the specific issues that are going to examine. The objective should be specific, clearly stated. Each sub-objectives should reflect one issue only. The action-oriented verbs such as to determine, to find out, to ascertain can be utilized to formulate sub-objectives stated through numerically. XA. Main objectives. 1. To ascertain the impact of excessive mobile usage among youths. Sub-objectives. 1. To determine the impact of excessive mobile phone usage on sleep. 2. To find out the impact of mobile phone usage on physical health. 3. To determine perceived change of attitude towards mobile phone usage among youth. D. Hypothesis testing. A hypothesis is a statement of assumption about the prevalence of a phenomenon or a relationship between two variables that a study plans to test within the framework of the research work. It is not an obligation to test the hypothesis, but if the study needs, then the hypothesis can be adopted and tested. The important consideration in the formulation of research problem is construction of hypothesis. Hypotheses generally bring clarity, guide and focus on a research problem, but are not essential for the study. A researcher can conduct investigation without formulating formal hypothesis for the study. Further, in the study, a researcher can construct and number of hypotheses as you consider to be appropriate. 5. In simple word, hypothesis is an assumption, suspicion, assertion or an idea about a phenomenon, relationship or situation, the reality or truth of which we do not know. Later, these assumptions suspicion become the basis of an inquiry. When formulating hypotheses, there is an obligation to draw conclusions in the report. Hypotheses have their own style of formation. One should know the correct way of wording them. In a study, one can put as much hypothesis they want to test. However, it is not essential to have hypothesis in order to undertake a study. The researcher also can conduct a study satisfactorily without formulating hypothesis. According to Kurlinger, a hypothesis is a conjectural statement of the relationship between two or more variables. Black and Champion define a hypothesis as a tentative statement about something, the validity of which is usually unknown. According to Grinnell and Stothers, a hypothesis is written in such a way that it can be proven or disproven by valid and reliable data. It is in order to obtain these data that we perform in our study. Type of hypothesis: any assumption that one seeks to validate through an inquiry is known as hypothesis. Theoretically, there is only one type of hypothesis, i.e., research hypothesis, the basis of investigation. The hypothesis is divided into A. Research hypothesis or null hypothesis, B. Alternate hypothesis. The formulation of an alternate hypothesis is a convention in scientific circles. The main aim is to explicitly specify the relationship that will be considered as true in case the research hypothesis proves to be wrong. In a way, alternate hypothesis is the opposite of the research hypothesis. Again, conventionally, a null hypothesis or hypothesis of no difference is formulated as an alternate hypothesis. For X, alternate hypotheses will show how it should be worded in a proper format. H1. There is association between mobile phone usage and physical health problems. H2. There is association between excessive mobile phone usage and sleep disturbances. When these associations are proved to be true, then the hypothesis remains sane. But when it is disproved, then the research hypothesis, null hypothesis, would be there is no association between mobile phone usage and physical health problems. Hypotheses, though important, but are not essential for a study. A valid study can be conducted without formulating a single hypothesis. Therefore, hypotheses are important for bringing clarity, specificity, and focus to a research study. 6. E. Study design. The study design is classified on the basis of number of contacts available, period of study, and nature of investigation. Further, study design is conducted as cross-sectional wise as well as retrospective and prospective studies are carried out. 1. Cross-sectional study. This type of studies are most common type of study, also known as one-shot or status studies in the social sciences. This type of study aimed at finding out prevalence of phenomenon, situation, problem, attitude or issues by involving cross-sectional population. This type of study is simple in nature and design. The researcher has to decide what they want to find out, identify the study population, select a sample, and contact respondents to gather required information. 2. Before and after study design. This design is also referred as pre- and post-test design, which is adapted to measure change in a situation, phenomena, issues, problem or attitude. It is considered as most appropriate measures to explore the impact and effectiveness of a program. In this study design, a change is measured by comparing the difference in the phenomenon or variables before and after the intervention. Example A. Academic achievement before and after the intervention coaching can be studied. B. Effectiveness of marriage psychological counseling services. 3. Longitudinal studies. This type of study is carried to determine the pattern of change in relation to time, known as longitudinal design. Longitudinal design is useful when an investigator needs to collect factual data on a continuous basis. The investigator visits number of times at regular intervals over a long period to gather information. 4. The retrospective study design. Under this study, a phenomenon, situation, issues, problem that has happened in the past is studied. These are conducted either on the basis of the data available for that period or on the situation recalled by the respondents. Example, the living condition of Aboriginal tribes in India lived early 20th century. 5. The prospective study design. This type of study is conducted to know the prevalence of phenomenon, situation, problem, issues that is going to happen in future. Such studies attempt to bring out the outcome of an event or what is likely to happen. For example, to find out the counseling services on the academic achievement among school-going students. 7. To measure the effects of change after the intervention of life skill among drug abuse youths. Among these, the writer can choose most appropriate to the study while preparing for project proposal. F. The setting. Under the section, the researcher describe the organization, agency or community in which they are going to study. If the study is about a group of people, highlight some of the important features of the group by drawing relevant information. For example, if you are studying a NGO as orphanage, the investigator has to give a brief description of that particular NGO. A. The main services provided by the NGO. B. Its administrative structure. C. The type of client served, issues focused to be covered in the proposal. If you are studying student group, briefly describe main characteristics. A. Total number of students in the academic year. B. About the college, courses, aims and objectives. C. Brief profile of the students. D. Issues related to the central theme of the study. G. Measurement procedure. Under this section, the investigator has to determine the instruments that are going to be used for the purpose of the study, like observation, interview schedule, questionnaire, scaling techniques that are going to be adopted has to be mentioned. The investigator has to justify the need for research tool, highlight its strengths and weakness, outline the major segments of research tool and their relevance to the main objectives of the study. If the investigator is preferred to use standardized tool, briefly discuss its reliability and validity of the instrument. Ideally, attach a copy of research instrument to your research proposal. H. Ethical issues. It is important to depict the ethical issues that the researcher may have in the proposal. The researcher must be acquainted with educational institutional policy as well as they must consider the ethical issues of the respondents or the agency or institutions that are going to be selected in the study. It is imperative that the investigator has to identify some of the ethical consideration and describe how you are going to deal in your proposal. Sampling. 8. The sampling framework has to be presented thoroughly. This section draws attention the most I, universe and sampling. Its techniques guide the researcher to draw better results. The proposal includes A. The size of the sampling. B. From where and how this information is gathered. C. The reasons for choosing them. D. Description of sampling design. J. Analysis of data. Here the investigator has to specify whether the data is presented manually or by computer. Identify the program if in case of computer analysis, statistical procedure that you have planned to perform on the data. Identify the variables for cross-tabulation. X. Frequency distribution in terms of age, education, occupation, gender, type of family. Cross-tabulation, impact of parents' role and age, education, type of family, occupation. Statistical test to be applied. Mean and standard deviation, chi-square, t-test, etc. K. Structure of the report. The researcher should be clear about how you are going to organize the final report. While organizing material for the report, the specific objectives of the study are of most important. Develop each chapter in such a manner the main themes of the study. The title of each chapter should clearly be mentioned to showcase the main thrust of its content. The first chapter to be entitled as Introduction depicts the overall introduction to your study, covering most of the project proposal of your original plan. The second chapter deals with the profile of the respondents or institutions or organization that reflects their socio-economic and demographic characteristics. Therefore, second chapter may be entitled as Socioeconomic Demographic Characteristics of the Study Population or the 9. Study population or any other title that depicts the theme can be the title Literature Review Theoretical Framework and Variables. The third chapter would be Research Methodology, includes aim and objectives, universe and sampling and how you are going to conduct the study is presented here. Though the wording of each chapter title is rest with the individual of their choice, each must communicate the main theme of the chapter. L. Budget. Allocation of budget is prudent to meet the requirements of the research proposal. If the fund is insufficient, then it is difficult to complete the task and to achieve aim may also damage the status of the work. The researcher has to cost out the plan precisely. The budget fall under personnel, travel, equipment and maintenance. These activities are accurately justified. Do not plan your budget with unnecessary items. Note from the funding guidelines that how long funding agency or sponsoring body will support financially. The researcher needs to give an explanation to the size of the budget, why it is necessary to employ assistant, the need for travel, printer, etc. has to be mentioned properly in the table. M. About you. The researcher has to present self-details in the proposal as the area of interest, research experience in the field. Have you conducted research before? If so, say so. If not, you might outline any research training, and higher degree study that you have undertaken. Mention published records in the areas of proposed research. If not published, note any staff seminars that you may have given in this area. What experience that you have counts more, that you are the one to be funded for this particular research work. Do not sell yourself short, but nominate people as referees who know your work and appreciate your skills. Be confident of your ability to conduct the project and be convincing. N. Appendix. Under the section, the researcher has to mention the tools adopted and list of references. The researcher, tools adopted and list of references. O. Work schedule. A work schedule depicts the time duration taken to complete the research work. This process has to be planned well so that the study could be completed within time frame. Conclusion. The research proposal is a challenging task to be taken up to know the problems, issues that are going to be studied through writing a project proposal. The format may differ from discipline to discipline, but the theme or the cause it represents the same. In the initial stage, writing a project proposal is an exigent, but the practice of writing make it more easier. 10. Hence, the academic teachers and professionals should focus on writing project proposal to bring out solutions to various problems. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk.